The Boston Bruins had a team bonding poker tournament in Vegas prior to a road trip that's really going to tell us whether they're all in or just bluffing.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B. Today is Thursday, October 16th. Thank you so much for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day. And on today's episode, we are going to discuss some team bonding that the Bruins did prior to this big 3-game road trip through the Western Conference. We'll also discuss Hampus Lindholm's status as well as Jordan Harris's contributions during his absence and preview tonight's game against the Vegas Golden Knights. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Before we get into it today, a quick reminder, you can find the podcast on social media at Locked NHL Bruins. That's on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. You can find me, my hockey thoughts, dad jokes, at Ian C. McLaren. I am a lifelong Boston Bruins fan, and I have been covering this team and the NHL for various outlets for nearly 20 years now. So the Bruins are in Nevada getting ready for tonight's game against the Golden Knights. It's a huge test for a team that's had some success early on. They're 3-1. Everydayers will know I put them second in the Atlantic Division in the power rankings on Tuesday, I should say. Yesterday, we placed a hold on this team pending this 3-game road trip that will have them face the Golden Knights, the Colorado Avalanche, and then the Utah Mammoth, who just debuted their new mascot last night. Tusky? I don't know. Jury's still out on that one. Prior to this, though, the Bruins had a couple days off. They haven't played since Monday. And while in Vegas, they embraced the vibe and had a poker tournament for players, coaches, and staff. Everybody was in on it. And Marco Sturm said it was nice to have everyone in the same room to have some fun. And these kind of road trips early on in the season can be very important for teams, especially ones with a lot of new faces. It's more than just card playing, obviously. It's relationship building, it's culture building, and it allows them to find some breathing room among a pretty grueling schedule to start. They had 4 games within the span of 6 days. Now they have 3 games through tonight and Sunday. I think 10 games left in the month of October. So you don't really have those days just to wind down, spend some time as a team. And with, again, so many new faces, new coaches, a new head coach, it was really important for them to take advantage of that downtime and to spend some time having fun. Now, no word on who won, if there was actual, cash or prizes exchanged. But the point is, these bonding events, they may sound trivial, but don't sleep on the importance of them. Like, don't forget, back in 2011, this is probably the greatest example in recent memory. The Bruins were down 0-2 to the Montreal Canadiens after having lost 2 games at TD Garden. They had an extra day off before they had to resume the series in Montreal. So they went to Lake Placid. They really regrouped and were able to obviously come back, win that series, go on to win the Stanley Cup. A couple years ago, there was that China trip that was important for a lot of players. Going to Prague, the trip to Lake Tahoe recently. Like, these kind of things really matter. And when you're a hockey player, right, it's such a grind. We look at it as game in, game out. These guys are robots going out and trying to do their best. They should be like this based on their player card, putting this performance together. But these guys are human beings. And a lot of what you take away from a career as a hockey player is those relationships. It's not necessarily the wins and the losses, but it's literally the friends you make along the way. And it's important to have those moments to build relationships. A poker tournament may not win you games. It may not win you a playoff round, but it's the kind of groundwork that builds trust, camaraderie for when the season really, when you're going to Columbus on a Tuesday night in February, you've had those relationship building moments in the past. You're not alone in it. You know that you have guys that you can rely on, that you can hang out with, that you can go to dinner with, watch movies with, play some more cards with. And these kinds of things are very important. Look, Marco Sturm, this is his first year as head coach. You only get one shot to make a first impression and to establish a voice early on. He read the room, saw that there were so many new faces, even the guys that came in late last season, like your Casey Middlestats, Fraser Minton, who had a cup of coffee last year, now a young guy looking to become one of the guys. Who else? Marat Husnudinov, even, Yunus Korpisalo, Elias Lindholm, Nikita Zadorov. They've only been here for a year. They've been getting to know some of the guys, and those relationships just deepen the longer you get into it and get to know some players. Builds unity across positions, across generations of players, and that culture and cohesion will determine which way this season goes. Yes, the early returns have been positive, and Sturm's bringing a coaching style that prioritizes team cohesion, respect across all levels. That's something that the organization values greatly. And a poker tournament might seem frivolous, but I'm sure there were lots of laughs, some good-natured ribbing, some relationships that were created, deepened, and that is going to go a long way this season. Hopefully they're feeling loose, but not too loose here as they get ready for tonight's game against Vegas. It's a big test early on for this team. We're going to preview the game later on, but the Bruins did get some good news yesterday in practice with the return of Hampus Lindholm. We'll discuss his status and Jordan Harris's contributions during his absence here as the podcast continues. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, just pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. People love how FanDuel gives them so many ways to play. You can build parlays, try player props, even follow the live lines during games. It makes football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action, not to mention hockey, as well as baseball playoffs that are going on. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what exactly are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Put down a $5 bet, and if it hits, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. Thanks again for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine. Please do hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube if you have not done so already. Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube, you'll get instant reactions to breaking news as well as to game results. And We'll see about tonight. It's a 10 p.m. Eastern start. I will be up screening it between the Bruins and the Golden Knights, as well as the Blue Jays and the Mariners. And the Bruins could have reinforcements for tonight's game in the form of Hampus Lindholm. He returned to practice on Wednesday, skating for the first time with the team since missing a couple games with a lower body injury. Sturm still called him day-to-day and said the decision in regards to whether he will play tonight will come after the morning skate. Significant in several ways. For one, there was a lot of concern that when Lindholm was injured in the second game of the regular season, that he had perhaps re-aggravated the injury that kept him out of the lineup from November onwards last season. You don't want to have a situation where he is out for another extended period of time. Lindholm himself said it was nice to be out there skating again, get some team skates in instead of testing things out on your own, be with the fellas, and it feels better each day. And this is huge because Lindholm is, of course, a cornerstone of Boston's defense and their puck-moving structure. Under Sturm, this team is relying heavily on controlled exits and efficient transitions, and his return will impact matchups and minutes immediately. So far, we've had Mason Lohrei, Charlie McAvoy on the top pairing. You had Lindholm and Andrew Peeke, then Nikita Zadorov and Henri Jokiharju. Jordan Harris stepped in during Lindholm's absence and, let's be honest, looked right at home. The hometown kid from Haverhill, Mass. Signed a 1-year deal in July, and he delivered early on. 1 goal, 1 assist, about 16:45 ice time average, steady on the second pair alongside Andrew Peeke. And Harris credited the coaching staff by saying they've been pretty clear on where the players' assignments are. Road trip like this is huge early in the year, and Harris will probably get into one of these games anyways because it's a pretty tough, tight schedule. They play tonight, and then they go to Colorado to play on Saturday, Utah on Sunday. So even if Lindholm is feeling good, chances are they'll rotate Harrison, maybe even John Beecher or Jeffrey VL to kind of, just keep guys fresh and not to overtax guys too early. This all speaks volumes about Sturm's system clarity and communication. It's helping new players integrate quickly, and that hasn't always been the case. I mean, last season, Elias Lindholm, Zadorov, took them a long time to get acclimated, to figure things out. And, of course, when you have 2 coaches last season, that mixes things up again. Lindholm gave Harris some real props, saying he's been unbelievable, such a good player. And the Bruins' defense has quietly been a strength, even without Lindholm. If he returns healthy, Sturm suddenly has some flexibility, maybe even a logjam, which is a good problem. You don't want a guy like Jordan Harris, when he's playing that well, sitting on the sidelines for too long. But, of course, Lindholm is one of your number 1 defensemen. He could be a number 1 guy on several teams around the NHL. And the Bruins need him back in the lineup in order to sustain the success. But having said that, Harris is a guy they know now that they can call upon to help things out. The Bruins right now are 9th in the NHL in terms of shots allowed per game, allowing 26.3, tied with the Ottawa Senators. Carolina allowing a crazy 20.7 goals per game with 38.3 shots per game of their own. That's wild. Anyways, the Bruins defense obviously so important to this season, and if they're going to fully bounce back, they need that top 4 stability. You could argue Mason Lohrei, perhaps maybe they should move him back to shelter him a bit more, not getting those huge defensive assignments alongside Charlie McAvoy. His offense hasn't been there yet either, but it all reinforces a key theme this season, kind of those depth wars. Young players pushing vets and keeping the standard high. Jordan Harris's performance proves the team can trust its depth when injuries hit. Now, that may only go so far when it comes to longer-term injuries or multiple injuries. You're going to be tapping into some more inexperienced guys like Jonathan Asperot or Frederick Brunet, Victor Soderstrom. But right now, with Lindholm back, they can afford to have Harris kind of hang around, rotate in and out. And it's another example of why the locker room buy-in is growing fast under Marco Sturm. Harris knows his role. He knows his place in the depth chart. While Lindholm's return means Boston's defensive stability is back, they know that they can count on a guy like Jordan Harris to step in and more than just keep things afloat. He can contribute at a high level for this team. Maybe not necessarily every night. That's yet to be tested on a long-term scale. But still, he's showing that things are more stable. And that looks like a good signing right now for Don Sweeney. The Bruins at 5-on-5 have a shot percentage differential of 54.09. They've generated 86 shots. They've allowed only 73. That's good for 9th in the NHL. When it comes to their shot attempt differential, a bit further down, they're 20th, 48.87. But while they've allowed 181 attempts, only 73 have gotten through as actual shots, which shows you that they're keeping things to the outside. They're getting bodies in the way, allowing their goaltenders to see things out there. And when it comes to that high danger attempt differential, the Bruins, 27th in the NHL right now with a high danger shot attempt differential of 33-22. But their goaltending is standing strong, especially with Jeremy Swayman in there. He's likely to get the start. And that's something we will discuss here as the podcast continues, where we will preview tonight's game against Bruce Cassidy, Jack Eichel, and the Vegas Golden Knights. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can kind of be a headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. And that's where Gametime comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Recently used Gametime to grab seats for a Blue Jays game prior to the playoffs. Couldn't have been simpler. Great seats in minutes. You see exactly what you're going to pay. There's no hidden fees. And you can also see exactly what your view will look like before you buy tickets with their in-app seat views feature. Their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Gametime picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Get some NHL tickets today. Swipe, tap, ticket, go with Gametime. Maybe you're in Vegas, want to grab some tickets for tonight's Bruins Golden Knights game. It's going to be a good one. The Bruins taking on their former head coach, now 2-3 times removed, if you include Sturm, Sacco, Jim Montgomery. The Golden Knights are off to a 2-0-2 start. This is the first of two meetings between these teams this season. Vegas will visit the Bruins in January. The Golden Knights lost in a shootout to begin the season to the Kings. They needed overtime to beat the Sharks. They lost in overtime to the Kraken. And then just the other night beat the Flames for their first and only regulation win of the season. Now, Adin Hill was injured in that game. And while there are reports out there that Vegas, as early as today, could sign Carter Hart, which is an incredibly questionable decision based on his involvement in the Team Canada trial in London this summer. Not something I'm really high on for anybody. Anyways, Akira Schmid will be the guy in net for Vegas tonight, and he's actually been super good for the Golden Knights so far this season. 2-0-0 record, a .929 save percentage, and he will likely be going up against Jeremy Swayman, who's 2-0-0 with a .966 save percentage. The Bruins, of course, won their first three games of the season, coming off a loss against Tampa. Swayman primed to start tonight's game, and then one of the weekend games against Colorado and Utah. Golden Knights, extremely talented team. They're led in scoring by Jack Eichel, who has 9 points in 4 games so far this season. Mark Stone with 6 points. Pavel Dorofeyev leading the way with 5 goals for this team. Mitch Marner has yet to score a goal for this team. He's got 4 assists through 4 games, a relatively quiet start for the perennial 100-point player. So look for him to break out sooner than later. For the Bruins, they're led, of course, by David Pastrnak and Pavel Zacha, both of whom have 5 points so far this season. 1 goal, 4 assists each. The goals leaders for the Bruins, Casey Middlestat, Elias Lindholm, Morgan Geekie, all with 2 apiece. Only a few players on this team looking for their first points so far this season, and that includes Marat Husnudinov, Mason Lohrei, and Hampus Lindholm. There's a real side note here, room for improvement for this team. If they can find a better scorer to go alongside Fraser Minton, Tanner Jeannot, they've been proven to be pretty solid so far, a decent tandem to build around. I'm not convinced Mikey Eyssimont is the ideal guy there. VL, Beecher have yet to play this season. Maybe you throw Beecher into one of these games. Maybe you just send VL to Providence and recall a Blumel, a Steves, a Lysell, a Patra to see what can happen there on the fourth line, or on the third line, I should say. A guy with the right-hand shot who can score. Yeah, I understand you don't want to have perhaps 2 younger guys on the same line, but you're really not getting anything from Mikey Eyssimont, who's got, 7 shots, but 1 assist. He's a -3 so far. That is an area where the Bruins could improve the roster, and we'll see if that happens sooner than later. In terms of special teams, Vegas is rolling at a 26.7% success rate on the power play, which is good for 6th in the NHL. The penalty kill, though, pretty bad. 66.7%, which is 28th in the NHL. The Bruins, on the other hand, their power play, a bit improved, but still ranking only 24th in the NHL, 12.5% success rate. The penalty kill, though, is perfect, 100% so far this season. 2 strong face-off teams. Vegas ranks 2nd. The Bruins are 3rd. When it comes to offense, Vegas is averaging 3.5 goals per game compared to 3.25 for the Bruins. Bruins are allowing only 2.25 goals per game, though. Vegas allowing an even 3. So based on all of those metrics, if the Bruins can, unlike they did against Tampa, maybe take advantage of a power play opportunity or 2 and continue to suppress Vegas's power play opportunities, they've got a real shot here to take this game. Now, it's not easy at all to go into Vegas and to win. They're still looking for, some momentum on the season. Loss, win for this team. Only one regulation win. You know that Bruce Cassidy is going to have his guys up for this game, and we'll see whether or not the Bruins are up to the task. All right, that's it for today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. My friends, thank you so much for taking the time to make the podcast your first listen today. For your second listen, check out all the new Locked On NHL Game Night episodes every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find NHL Game Night on the Locked On NHL YouTube channel or wherever you listen to podcasts. Please do also subscribe to Locked On Boston Bruins wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Please do take care of yourselves, friends. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you here again on the next episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, hopefully discussing a win over Vegas, previewing the weekend's action, and bringing you all the latest on your favorite hockey team every single day.